So it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Ugur Kaya, from Ege University in Turkey. Little history. Ugur was both an undergrad and a graduate student, received his PhD at Ege University. Then came to the US and did a postdoc at Brown, returned back home to his home institution, and has been on the faculty there for, I don't know, 20 years, 25 years, something like that.
More.
A bunch of years at Ege University.
I don't know the years.
Now a full professor in their zoology group. Ugur is he's a very interesting guy. He's always studied amphibians, and he's studied amphibians mostly in Turkey from a number of different perspectives. He's done bioacoustics work, he's done a lot of systematics work, he's done field ecological studies, he's done osteological studies. But in the last sort of 15 years or so, he's increasingly moved towards doing conservation work. And that's because amphibians in Turkey, like amphibians everywhere else on our glorious planet, are tanking. And Ugur is one of those people who decided that rather than sit by and watch, he wanted to try to do something. And that's what he's done. I don't know how long ago, but maybe a year or two ago, something like that, maybe 2 years ago, Ugur contacted me. We got in touch with each other, and one of Ugur's students, Ugur has spent 2 years here in our lab at UCLA and a year in my lab at Davis before that, both as a student and as an assistant professor. And through Ugur and I sort of got to talking, and Ugur said, you know, I really want to pick a system and a study system where we can use the kind of genomics work that you guys do in your lab to really try to make a difference about an important conservation issue in Turkey. So we bounced a few ideas back and forth and launched a project which we're now finishing up on the sort of landscape genomics and systematics of the salamanders. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Sadly, they aren't these salamanders. I mean, you know, aren't those cool, right? But it's another group of salamanders endemic to Turkey. And I think he'll tell us a little bit about that, although we're not quite at the point where we have the data to be able to discuss that in detail. Ugur is here for about 2 months. He's been here for 2 or 3 weeks. He'll be here more or less through the end of November. And he's residing up on the 4th floor of Terasaki. And if you're interested in amphibian conservation, or if you're interested in life in Turkey as an academic right now, which is an interesting time. I mean, it's an interesting time to be an academic in the United States as well. And from both a sort of intellectual and political point of view, they're both interesting, and there's some interesting parallels between the two. You know, I really encourage you to shoot Ugur an email or get in touch with me, and I can put you in touch with him, or just swing by the 4th floor of Terasaki. Take him out for a cup of coffee and talk to him about amphibians, talk to him about Turkey. They're both very, very interesting conversations. So with that, I'll turn this over to Ugur, who's going to tell us about sort of the conservation and status of the amphibian fauna of Turkey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's very pleasure for me to be here, and as a zoologist, as an ecologist, and I call myself lately conservationist. We are very interested in our biodiversity around us or in the world, of course. And in US, in developed countries, I guess you know which animals or which plants living in your garden. But in Turkey, we don't know which animals or which plants. Still, we don't know which animals we have in our garden or in near us. And the worst thing about our biodiversity, without knowing our biodiversity, we are losing their habitats, we are destroying their habitats, which means resulting in we are destroying all the organism. So I will jump to the different subjects, and let me give you a brief information about the amphibian conservation. I'm sure you know that amphibians are in danger in the world, not in only Turkey. And we have some data from IUCN. I'm also working as a red list authority of West Asia for the IUCN, so I'm also interested in other countries near Turkey. So this is the picture showing that not only amphibians, the other animals or the other organisms are in threat and danger. But when we compare them, I think the amphibians on average, the most threatened groups in the world, and also in Turkey, I guess. So I should go forward. Here are some numbers expressing how many species. These numbers are not quite the absolute numbers, but we know up to 6,500 amphibians so far described, but up to now only the 6,260 are assessed by the IUCN, and of these almost 1/3 of them are threatened. Oh, still I am going backward. So they are threatened, of course, but what are the major causes of their danger? What is threatening them? There are three main causes all over the world. One is habitat destruction. We know that because this is the case for all organisms, not only for amphibians. And the others, overexploitation. The other one is decline, enigmatic decline caused by various things, not only one thing. And this map shows, of course, the well-researched area is America and also Australia and some part of Europe, including Turkey, and some part of the East Asia. And these are showing how much they are influenced by each factor. So I'm pretty sure you know where the Turkey is, but I like to show it to you again.
I recommended this, by the way.
So you can see where the Turkey is right now, and here is the Europe, here is the Asia. No need to say it, but I will, because it is very important, because the Turkey is like a bridge between two continents. We have a small part at the European side called Turkish Thrace, and Anatolian side. It is, okay, this is Asian and also the Middle Eastern part of Turkey, and this constitutes three important geographical areas. So I will go back. These geographic areas or biogeographical areas, as I tell you, Anatolia, Mediterranean, and the Black Sea region, and of course their transition zones. So this is important. That's why I want to show the map to you. And the other important thing is most of the Turkey's land is covered by three important biodiversity hotspots, which are Caucasia, Irano-Anatolia, and Mediterranean. So these important factors making Turkey's biodiversity is very rich in terms of animals and plants. And to give you some idea, I like to give some numbers about the biodiversity. So the Caucasia site, Irano-Anatolia site, and Mediterranean site. So this sea is Aegean Sea. So my university is Ege University. That's why Ege is Aegean. Let me go forward. So total number of vertebrate species in Turkey up to date identified as 1,500, and 100 of them are endemic to Turkey, and these are including 70 species of fishes. If you are working on fishes, we have very nice endemic fishes in Turkey. When we go to invertebrates, the number is much higher. It's like 19,000, and of these 4,000 again endemic to Turkey. So these are numbers from the animal side. What about the plant side? So we have to compare some places to get the numbers, what they mean. So far in the Europe, 12,500 plant species are known. And of these plant species, we have 11,000 of them. And again, 1/3 of them are endemic to Turkey. So we are rich in plants as well as animals. Let's jump to amphibians again. We have 29 amphibians, including frogs and salamanders, and almost 38% of these animals are in danger right now. These are the names, and the red colored are the threatened ones. I don't want to go in detail with their names and their trends, but we know that they are all decreasing, especially the endangered ones. These are the Anuran species. So we have more Anuran species, but only 2 of them are endangered. But they are really in danger because one of the species I've been working on for a long time, we know the exact population size data for a long time. And so when we are reassessing the animals for IUCN, as you know, we need the population size or density, we need their trends, and also we need their distribution, how big it is or how small it is. These are the main information we need when we are assessing them. So almost 38% of the animals are threatened. They are critically endangered, or vulnerable. These are the all animals. Again, I'm going a little bit fast in this parts. Okay, so each species, these are the summary of each species from IUCN, and we have justification and major threats, but I will go with major threats, not in this tables, in the other tables. Before I go with the tables, I like to show you all the population size or monitoring studies of amphibians in Turkey. These are the 8 papers so far published. Maybe I am missing 1 or 2 more, but these are everything. We don't have any more about the conservation of amphibians. So we are missing so much data, it means. So what are the main factors, major threats for Turkish amphibians? These threats are threats for, as I told you before, for all animals or all plants. But I like to show you how they are threatening the Turkish amphibians. The first one is, of course, habitat loss. Without knowing any animal or their distribution or their density or population size, you can just say they are they are threatened by habitat loss. It's very easy, but it is the case for Turkey. This is the truth for Turkey. How do we destroy the habitats? First, forest fires. Okay, so we take we cut the forest and we just sell them. I mean, the way of earning money in Turkey. The development in the region by road construction, summer house, this is, I mean, very common in Turkey. Every rich person in Turkey has one summer house near sea or at the higher mountains. I will not tell you if I do have or not. And the dam construction, we have very new information. 2011, the Turkish government is planning to construct almost 4,000 dams on the rivers of Turkey. This is one of the terrible story about Turkey, and the year is 2023. This year is very important for Turkey, but I cannot explain it in here. So this is like a other subject. Drainage, pollution, drought, and over collection of specimens. This is one of the important things that we are collaborating with BRAD, because of course all the animals are in danger by some reasons, but this was the thing, it was disturbing me a lot. I mean, of course, this is the trade for food is common, and I guess you know that US the most frog eating or frog leg eating country in the world.
Is that true? Really?
Yes, I think more than France, because the number is high. I think that's why. But France had a bad reputation, so let us keep it that way. And as I told you, for scientific purposes, and very lately we have some information about BD and cell infections. These are some chytrids causing chytridomycosis in the amphibians, including frogs, toads, and salamanders, and it is very emerging caution or threat to all the amphibians, and it is also a case for Turkey because very lately I didn't know that this species was carrying this chytrids, but we have especially 5 species found to be positive with this chytrids. This is a very new information. It is not included in the map of the like BD or Bissau map of the world. It is not, you cannot see it, but it is there. So we have some data regarding the population size of density from some part of Turkey, which is close to the Izmir where I live and where my university is, and he was my former PhD student. Now he's a professor. He just looked for some lakes and some ponds for the population size, for the monitoring for amphibians. And these are the numbers. He just worked for 3 years with the same ponds. And of course, these numbers is not telling too strong results, but it is telling something to us. So the number is always going down, and he found that this is Karagöl, it's a black lake, it means in English. So the main species was the crayfish. And another göl is Sülüklü Göl, is a lake, and for this species number is going down again, but there is different reasons for that. Okay, another information like data we have. but we have only 2008. We don't have more. We wanted to, or he wanted to follow or monitor the ponds in there, but he couldn't do it because so it was the pond. It became this 1 year later because our municipality was building a recreation site or area there. They just destroy the pond. They just destroy everything inside of it. So we are protecting the animals by destroying their habitats in Turkey. So another example how we destroying, I think these pictures are showing how we are destroying them by their habitat destruction. So you can see two small ponds for Bombina bombina. The ponds are still there, but huge blocks of rocks here. I couldn't go there next or following years, but I think this area is covered with these rocks and no more breeding area for Bombina bombina. This is another interesting information. Again, with Bombina bombina, what another subspecies. It was described in 1987, and this is from 2009. There's no place, there's no subspecies anymore because, as you can see, the railway here. Okay, this is the Terra typica of the new subspecies. This was the Terra typica, and this road is somehow just passed over the habitat or the Terra typica of the animal. And another important thing, drying habitats, but this is not temporary one. This is not permanent pond, so it's normal. They can handle, the amphibians can handle this kind of problems. Another good example, Pelodites caucasicus is like a Caucasian part of the Turkey. It's also inhabiting in the Georgia, this animal. And you can see these photographs. I took these photographs long time ago. And it is beautiful lake. It was beautiful lake. What is it right now? It's a pool or rocky, I don't know how you can describe it. Everywhere is like covered with construction. Meaningless. And this is from the newspaper. This photo, I didn't take these photos, so these are not mine. But it says, deep sadness, pain, and sorrow by destruction. I think the word is not absolutely dissimilar because it's a little bit religious word, but I think this is explaining how disturbing to see this kind of constructions in the natural habitats of amphibians and also other animals or plants. Okay, overcollection, another problematic issue in Turkey. We are exporting tons of frog legs and pieces to Europe or US each year. When I say tons, I mean not less than 200 tons. Sometimes more, sometimes 500, 400, but not less than 200. And I don't understand how we can finish them. How still they can find these animals. I really don't understand it.
Those are all wild collected.
Yes, yeah. This is, I mean, this is one of the terrible news. And this person says, this job is coming from my father. It's like an inheritance. So over 20 years, he says, in the newspaper, we are doing it. But now he also says, in one night I used to catch like a 20 or 30 kilograms. Now I cannot catch 1 kilograms. But so how we can still export like a hundreds of tons still? I don't know. I cannot explain this. So these are the other information about the exports from different newspapers. So 5 to 10,000 people. So this people means they are very poor people. They are not like a wealthy or not average, I mean, compared to Turkish, I mean, situation. So it is good for them, but it is very bad for the animals, of course, very bad for the frogs. Okay, this is a very strong information. 2004, 2005, and 6, 460 tons, 374 tons, and 395 tons of frogs legs, because these are the legs, plus the specimens. Each animal, these are the numbers, 5 million more. I don't want to go detail again. Okay, this is one of the sad things. Since we have started our conservation project, we found a new locality at the very western part of Turkey with the animals, and some part of the village. The animals were living in the village. It is destroyed by fire. And this is one of the very bad news. And it happened 1 month ago. It's very new news. So, these are the threats, but we have some arising threats, very recently arising new threats. It is for the scientific studies. The scientists are collecting huge number of animals from the natural fields for scientific studies. So we are scientists. We have to publish, we have to produce some science. But can't we do it without collecting the animals from nature? Isn't that possible? Of course it is possible, but this is maybe much easier way. Simple or easier way. So we have, of course, so many laws. We have Turkish laws, and also we have some international laws that we have to follow them because we are a part of them. We signed the agreement with them, but we are not just complying with. So that's why we started our collaborative research with Professor Brett. It's pleasure. I mean, it's pleasure because we want to solve their taxonomy. We want to resolve their taxonomy. So I should tell a little bit about this, and this is the name of our project. It was long time ago. It was described from Turkey, 1891, from Austrian scientist as a Molge lushani, and then it changed, the genus name changed to Mertensiella lushani in 1925. Of course, science is in progress. It will be some changes like this. And later on, starting from European scientists and following by Turkish ones, we had some new subspecies from Turkey and also from nearby Greek islands. We have some. Okay, the first one. This is the Greek islands one. So we had 7 subspecies before, but right after that, In 2004, they were Mertensiella before, but the genus name changed to Lycia salamandra, so it became a Lycia salamandra luciani. This is the typical sample, typical animal. Then all those subspecies elevated to the species rank. So these are here, and these are some, not quite showing the exact species, because there are huge variations within the species, the morphological variations and the size variations. But these are the animals in Turkey, and there is one more, as I told you. It is from the Greek islands, the Helverseni. Okay, and then new species are described. I just deleted their names. I didn't want to expose them, because this species, from the beginning of the description, I believe that these species are not valid actual species because of the variation. And all these papers are morphological papers. So like a morphospecies, they were like a morphospecies, and I couldn't prove it in the beginning. But thanks to their authors, they did it. They de-elevated all those species to the subspecies rank. So I was right. We were right. But science is in progress. Now we don't have the new described species. We have subspecies, very recently described, starting from 2014 and to 2016, we have 8 or more. I don't know, maybe in this time, maybe 2 or 3 more. We don't know. Okay, I told you in the beginning, our biodiversity is still missing gaps. We need some studies. We need to know the animals, plants, of course. But can we do it without sacrificing the animals? So this was my point of view. So I will go and explain their current situation. They are all threatened. So if someone wants to work on this species, they must get some official permissions, but somehow they get it. They say, I don't know what's the reason, but they say we have to work on this species. So the scientific authorities, like a Ministry of the Water and the Forestry, the Turkish authority, they provide a permission for those people. And the studies that performed on this species are, of course, the taxonomical, and they are using different techniques like morphology, serology, osteology, molecular, and distribution studies, and different kinds of distribution, and phylogeny, life history, hematology, bioacoustics, but not for, of course, our animals. These are the general case. But when we come to our animals, the Lycia salamandra, most of these studies sacrifice the animals. This is the worst case. This is the bad case. So, to summarize, how many specimens collected from the nature, from the field, beginning from the 1962 to 2016. So, especially this part is newly describing like a species or subspecies part. You can see how many animals on the y-axis. So one study collected, let's say, 150 specimens from the nature, from their natural habitats. And I don't know if you can sum these numbers, but can you imagine how many? Just can you guess? So it's like a 1400. But these are exactly published in the papers. There are more actually, because some papers, they are not giving clue about they use a live animal or they just collect it, they just sacrifice the animals. It's not clear. So it's over 2000. It's very clear. So Heket is asking us, don't you think it is enough? You know, I believe Heket, right? It's the Egyptian frog goddess of fertility. And of course, there must be some solutions, right? Okay, so you may think that if they are too abundant in their natural habitats, 1400 or 2000 is not, doesn't mean anything. You can collect it because you will not give damage to population or the species or the subspecies. But this is not the case. We have some information. These are old information from Greece islands. The same island, 1997, 5,000 per hectare. This is the density of the population or the species which inhabited in the island. In the same island, in 2001, it is 10,000. So this number is huge. I don't believe. I mean, so what can I do? I have to go there and do the similar study, of course. But I did it. My two master students did similar studies in the two Turkish islands. So we got the numbers, like let's say 5, or these are the minimal and the maximal numbers, 5 or 13 per hectare, not 1,000. And another island, almost 1 or let's say 2 per hectare. Okay, these two studies, they stayed in those islands or they several times visited the islands. So these numbers are, I can trust a little bit. Not if I'm not doing the study, of course, I will not trust fully, but I do trust them. It is not comparable. It is, I mean, no way of comparison both numbers. Okay, they are free in the salamanders are very free in the islands because in the islands there are no predators for the salamanders. Nobody is hurting them. But it is impossible to see like this amount of numbers in Turkish islands. The highest number which I seen in the fields when I was making my field works is 17 or 18 specimens. This is the highest number in one place. And so when we visited one place, we were always working like a 4 or 5 person, sometimes one day, sometimes 2 hours. But we never come across over 20 specimens. So they are in danger. They are in danger in Turkey. So, of course, science is in progress. We have to publish, and in the meantime, we have to save or conserve amphibians. And we have to do it in a balanced way. We must find the way. That's why I prefer to start this collaborative project with Brett. And there are some discussions, but I will not go in detail with this information. As I told you, we have some guidelines that we are not following, we don't like to follow, but we have some laws we can accomplish with the laws. We say we are fully in accordance with the laws. It's strange because our Turkish laws, like animal welfare laws, tells us if you are using any animal for producing any medicine or pills, you can use them. So some people, if they want to collect it, they say we want to produce, or like we want to make a research on some like a medicine or like a biochemistry products of amphibians, skin products, let's say, they can have the permission easily. It's very easy. So we have some goals. I have some goals. Of course, I will not sit down and watch. I will study. I will study. What we will do first, we will hopefully finish our project and continue conservation studies and attract the peoples who's interested in animals, conserving animals. We have to attract them, and this is I think the urgent action, the prepare an action plan for each species, because we don't have any for the amphibians in Turkey. We have only one, but I didn't translate it to the Turkish. We made it for Pelodites caucasicus, no, Martensiella caucasica, for one salamander species. It is in English, but I didn't translate it into Turkish. I think most people are not aware of that action plan. And of course, this is the hard part, contact official people from the ministry, because the problem is with contacting with them. Usually the people who's getting position in that ministry, they are close to government. They are, of course, biology student. I mean, they are graduated some degrees from related to biology or other undergraduate degrees, but they don't know anything about the conservation or like the information, like official information about the conservation. But they act like they know it. This is the worst case. Okay. So last words from them. And thank you so much for being here and listening me. And if you have any question, I'd like to answer, of course. Yes, please.
Are there similar taxonomic issues in the frogs and toads in Turkey as with the salamander?
Not, of course, but not complicated as the Lycia salamandra, because they don't pose like too many variations in the morphology. So it's most easiest way to do a scientific research. It's just collect the animals, take the photo or get the morphology like patterns and color, and just publish it. It's easiest way. So that's why people like to publish this kind of papers on the Lycia salamandra. Of course, we do have. Yes, please. Yes, Peter.
In all of your work with the salamanders, have you ever heard any of the salamanders vocalize?
Yes, but I didn't know. Okay, I know one population vocalize, but I didn't go there. I couldn't find them. Only one population across the whole genus. Yes. They are just really, it's like a release call. They are not just like an advertisement call or something. When you grab it or when you hold it, they make little calls. Yeah. There are two. Yes, it is. It is published. But I like to go there and record them also, because I am also bioacoustic person.
Why do you ask?
Because it's very unusual. Salamanders in general do not vocalize. But the only one time I ever heard of a study, which I couldn't remember, was the one on the north coast of Turkey that somebody published. It was a German person. Published that there was some vocalizations of one species, and I couldn't find it anywhere. I wanted to know
Was it in German language? Maybe that's why.
No, I think it was a German researcher. But probably, I don't know what that.
Okay, I know the Lycia salamandra one, but I don't know the northern parts. And the German scientist means Hans Schneider, maybe. So I have all of his papers, but I don't have it. I don't know. Maybe there's one, but
So I have a question.
sure.
If, on the one hand, you say you've got laws and you have regulations
Yeah.
that protect that amazing biodiversity of Turkey that you introduced. On the other hand, you say, those laws are not enforced or they don't work. So what would you like to see happen? Okay, so we figure out the species boundaries of Lycia salamandra, and we know how many species there are, and therefore can talk about which are endangered. But that doesn't do any good if the enforcement or the laws aren't there. So what do you think is accomplishable that would actually work to get conservation happening in Turkey from a legal point of view?
Okay, so I cannot tell that the people from the ministry is not or doesn't care the conservation. They do care,
Yeah.
but they don't have enough information about, I think, how to conserve the animals, not only the amphibians. So once some people got the permission, I went to the ministry and I had a meeting with all people who's giving the permissions. I asked them, why did you give this permission? Because these are endangered animals. According to our laws, they cannot collect live animals if it's an endangered specimen. But if they say it is for medical or pharmaceutical studies, they can do it. So they have to learn the exact separation points, or how do you say? Okay, they will learn. They are not bad people, I guess. They are. I mean, I think only problem is they are not well informed, or they are not. They don't read so many scientific papers, or they are not aware of this kind of papers. Because I told them, here is the IUCN guidelines. Of course, we have laws, but there's a guidelines. You signed it, so you have to fully apply it. But every country has their own laws. When it comes to own laws, they say this is more important than the others. They will learn, I guess. They will learn. I mean, that's why the last thing in the previous. So, contact. This is maybe the most important, but we have to do it with scientific way. We have to persuade them. This is the right. This is the wrong way. So you should follow the right way.
And you do feel there is real hope for that happening?
I want to hope. I really want. I just saw one hand first, sorry.
So following up on that, so it's quite, Turkey is infamous for having even more creationists than even America. And Erdogan has recently changed the laws about what to teach in school in terms of evolution. Does that does that anti-science sentence spill into other parts of biology and other parts of biology?
Okay, we still teach evolution in the universities. Yeah, but of course in the primary and secondary schools it is, I think, forbidden. But I didn't read the laws exactly. But of course it is not good. But I know that you have similar issues in US or in the Europe. the religion is not changing this kind of thoughts or the laws, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I also think it's a really good point to sort of talk about offline a little bit more. And one of the great things about for being here for the next month and a half is for all of us to be able to learn more about that.
Yes, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what are the attitudes of the scientists who are doing the collecting? Because we presume that they're informed about the science, and do they just don't care, or maybe they're not informed about the
Okay,
status of the salamanders?
maybe you have some people in the US, similar people. Some people like to have more paper, not the quality one. They want to say, I have 200 papers instead of 10 good ones. So they don't care about the animal. They just care about the publication.
So these are other herpetologists that are doing it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, the question that I was going to ask is, in Turkey, are there any significant number of non-governmental organizations that are also concerned about these kinds of things? Because that's one of the things that helps whatever the government may be doing, or whatever the rules may be, if there are concerned citizens.
Yes, there are, and we have, I think, I cannot tell you the number, but we have several NGOs in Turkey, but they don't have power on the government like US. This is, I mean, it's not comparable.
So do they have campaigns to try and raise public consciousness about these things?
They are trying, of course, yes, but okay, they are not so effective maybe. But whether they are effective or not, they do not have enough power over the government. Now, there is no power over the government. This is, I mean, this is different from the past.
And are the big international NGOs, the Nature Conservancy, Conservation International, World Wildlife, do they have any presence?
Yes, yeah, 2 or 3 I know. WWF Turkey, for instance, we have 2 or 3. Yes, please.
Regarding the work for the IUCN, so how do they account for all these kind of changing taxonomy, which is like over the last years has been going someplace crazy? Because as far as I understand that the IUCN just kind of cares for species, but not really on a subspecies level, or not?
No, that's not.
Okay. But how do you then account if, for example, in a population which was first described as a species, then ended as like 2 species, how do you account for kind of these numbers? Are these then coded as data deficient, or?
Okay, if it is recently described one, so in the next reassessment, we will evaluate them. But if it is like an old one, then we ask the experts. We got all like let's say 1 species, and there are 10 experts publishing on this species. We ask all of them, and we look at the end the efficient of the scientific value. So, but we got all of the, I mean, ideas. We ask them first, but it takes time. It is not like the last time we assessed the animals in 2008. Now we are in 2017, but in the next year we will try to finish reassessing all the.
How do you then calculate, for example, population trends? If, like in the previous year, these 2 species have been 1, how do you then calculate the population trend for the species that kind of?
Okay. There are different ways. There, like we have some. Okay, this is. If you want, I can send you all the information. This is very detailed information.
Basically, the take-home message doesn't make things more complicated and more complicated to predict.
All right. There is like a general assumption first, like a species, also like a population or country-based assumptions. It is all included in the assessments. So you can say in this part of US, it is decreasing, but in the other parts, it is like a least concern, no problem with the animals.
Okay, I think we ought to call it, or thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.